Hello, this is Mr. Buss.
Mr. Howard.
And Ms. Wilson.
And we're going to walk you through how to run the Vernier Practice Lab. The equipment you're going to need for this will be 2 beakers. I grabbed the 250 milliliter size. Go ahead and add some ice and make some ice water for one of them. Doesn't matter exactly how much, just at least half full of ice water. And for the other one, put some warm water from the tap. You'll need a Labquest 2 device, a temperature probe, and your iPad. And I'm going to walk you through the first couple here. What network should the Labquest 2 be on? Under connections, the network should say 192 secure. You shouldn't need to do anything with that, but sometimes if there's an error with the Labquest 2, the Wi-Fi might be on the wrong network. Okay, the next question, how do you fix the Labquest 2 screen if it's not responding to touch very well? Sometimes you might click a certain area and it's not doing what it needs to do. You're going to hold down the home button for 5 seconds, basically as long as it takes for the screen to go into calibration mode. Once it does that, go ahead and follow directions.
All right, and so the next question is, how do you turn the Labquest 2 off? So hit the home button, and then usually you'll have your stylus, so you'll hit the system, and then shut down right there. And I'm going to cancel that off. And as far as when you would want to turn it off, again, the fourth question, when should you turn it off? And that's at the end of every time that you use it. We don't want to leave them in sleep mode or on for a couple days. They work much better if they are powered off at the end of every use. All right, Mr. Howard?
All right, so the next question is, what app do you need to view the lab data? If you go to the App Store and type in graphical analysis, there's 2 different app options. We'd like you to have the Vernier graphical analysis and the one with the GW or Go Wireless sensor. And the final question, who should do the lab write-up? We want everybody to submit their own work, and everyone should have their own version of the lab to be turned in.
Okay, we're going to walk you through the setup of part 1 now. So what is the learning target, purpose, or objective of part 1 for this lab? So again, learning target is to learn how to obtain data using the Labquest in different ways. And so the setup of that, you're going to take your temperature probe and connect it. Doesn't matter which channel. I'm just going to put it into channel 1. If it's a good connection, that should show a live temperature readout. We're going to leave it in Celsius. And then once that's connected, we'll need to click the mode. And we're going to leave time-based. We'll change the rate to maybe 1 sample per second. So every second it'll take a reading. And we're just going to run this for 1 minute, but I'm going to leave it in seconds, so we know 1 minute is 60 seconds. So that's what that'll look like then. Hit OK. So now the device is ready to collect data.
We are going to measure, over the course of a minute, the probe going from ice water to warm water. See how the sensor reacts and collect it. So what you want to do first is you want the probe to go into the ice water. Right, so right now we're letting it stabilizing Celsius, so it's going down to about 5 degrees. So we've had some stabilization time, and I'm going to hit start. Right down here, this little play button. When you hit that, it means whatever's being read by the sensor is being captured. All right, so you want to go about we're going to go 10 seconds here. You can see, now you can see 9 and 10 seconds. I'm going to then now move it to the warm water. You can see the line graph being captured. We're going to leave it here for the full minute. All right, so we're coming up on our minute here, 57, 58, 59, and 60 seconds. And it stopped on its own. You can see how it's captured that 60 seconds, and that is our data. The next step is we're going to use this and manipulate it.
All right, so now that we have obtained our data, I'm going to show you how to connect this Labquest 2 device to the app on our iPad that we got earlier. You go and find the app with the GW, the graphical analysis. Open that up, and the first thing that you want to click on is New Experiment. And then you're going to click on Data Sharing. And there's a couple different options for getting this app connected. You can click camera, which you open up and it's searching for a QR code. So on our Labquest 2 device, we're going to hit the home button. It doesn't lose our data, it just brings us to a different screen. Click connections, and you can see there's a QR code. So I'm going to take my iPad, get the camera to scan over that, and that should enter in the numbers for our connection. If for some reason that doesn't work, you can also manually enter these numbers, and you can see those just below the QR code on your Labquest 2 device. So there we are. We're going to click connect. Brought up our graph that is also on our Labquest 2, and now we're going to walk through how to manipulate this graph and different things you can do once you have this saved to your iPad.
So for the first part, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, I'm going to turn this into landscape here. Double tap will auto scale it if you need to. And I want you to find the time at which the highest temperature was first reached. So you're just going to move your finger as a cursor along here. And it looks like 29.1 degrees Celsius was the highest temperature, and no, 29.2. And then the time at which that was first reached was 54 seconds. I'm going to record that. And this is my first screenshot. So I'm going to add this screenshot to my write-up. Again, right here. Screenshot 1. Photo I just took. Okay. It shows the cursor at the time at which the highest temperature was first reached, and then again you would write that into the little data table right here. Got it. Okay, method 2, go back to the app. Method 2 is to view this as a table. So upper right, click the rectangle boxes icon, go to table, and visually scan down the time at which the highest temperature was first reached. We're trying to figure out what the temperature probe's delay time is. So it looks like the time at which the highest temperature was first reached based on this is 52 seconds and 29.2 degrees Celsius. So this is your second screenshot. Boom. And then go ahead and add that to the write-up right here. Shows the table. And again, go ahead and write the maximum time, the maximum temperature at the elapsed time for that part. Screenshot 3. So for the third way, I'm going to highlight the entire graph area, and then I'm going to click View Statistics for that area, and then it's going to spit out the time at which the highest temperature was first reached. Looks like it's saying 57 seconds and 29.2 degrees Celsius. So that's my third screenshot with that little statistics box on there. Again, I'm going to add that to the write-up. Right there. And again, using that statistics box, I'm going to say the maximum temperature in the elapsed time. There might be some subtle differences between these three temperatures and times, even though you're using the same data. So that's just an interesting thing to note, because you'd think that they all be the same. You obtain data 3 different ways from the same experiment. Which way do you prefer and why? That's totally up to you. Just go ahead and answer it and give it a Y. On which axis is time plotted in the experiment? We know that time is plotted on the x-axis. And determining the temperature probe's response time. So basically, if you know that you moved the probe from the cold water to the warm water at 10 seconds, and let's say that the highest temperature was reached at 29 seconds, the temperature probe's response time is the difference between those numbers. So it took 19 seconds to get to the maximum temperature. So there's a 19-second delay for that one. In this case, I'm just making up the numbers. Okay, for part 2, events with entry, we're going to do a little bit of a different data collection method. So on your Labquest, you're going to actually go tap the file and select New. Starts a new experiment. You're going to discard that old stuff. Even though you discarded it, believe it or not, it's still on the graphical analysis app. It says data sharing source was reset. Your work has automatically been saved. I'm just going to go to New. There's that under experiments here, there's that experiment I just ran. It didn't disappear from my iPad. It did disappear from the Labquest. I'm going to go to File, New, like I said, and then I'm going to modify this area. So I selected the mode. I'm going to select Events with Entry. It's a different data set. And since there's 3 people here, we're going to select 3. So the number of columns would be equal to how many people are in your group. If you're working with a group of 2, then you just put 2. And then you can put, for where it says name, you can put group members' names. Okay, you can leave that area blank. Okay, so now we're ready to collect data. Event name, Bus Howard Wilson, and we're going to just do a hand temperature. So at this point, you can just remove the temperature probe from the water. You can dry it off a little bit. And then since I put myself first on that, I'm going to just grab the temperature probe, just going to put it in the palm of my hand, and I'm just going to hold it, and I'm just going to watch the temperature reading, the live reading, and just I'm going to note when it's kind of stabilized. So I don't know how long that'll take. I guess maybe, like we already determined, it takes, you know, at least maybe up to 20 seconds for it to stabilize. So once it looks like it's about stable, I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to hit keep. And that's going to keep that value for me. And since I was the first person to do this, I'm just going to put 1. Okay, and then I'm going to hit OK. And now, this is where I think people tend to screw up. Do not hit stop yet. If you do hit stop, I can show you how to fix it in class, but just let it keep running. Mr. Howard's going to grab the temperature probe now, and he's going to put that in his palm, and then he's going to check his hand temperature. And so his went off the chart, but I can still see the live readout right there. So when it looks like the temperature has stabilized, then I'm going to hit keep a second time. Okay, so that has stabilized. I'm going to hit keep. And then that was for Mr. Howard. And so I'm going to put 2 there. And then Ms. Wilson's going to do the third reading. So just put the temperature probe in her hand. Again, I'm just going to let it run. And when it looks like the temperature has stabilized, I'm going to go ahead and hit keep a third time. Okay, hit keep. And then again, third person, okay. Now, this looks kind of weird, and it is going to until we view this as a table. So on the device here, that's really what we're looking at. So Bus, first one on there, handle temperature 25.4. Howard was the second one, handle temperature 30.5. And Wilson, handle temperature 29.9. So you can go ahead and on your iPad, on your new experiment, you can view that as a table, and didn't show up. That must mean that I didn't actually connect to that experiment. So I also noticed that it says disconnected in the bottom right. So I'm going to just try to reconnect. For some reason it disconnected on that. Okay, so view that as a table. So there's the data there, there's the data there. This is screenshot data for part 2. You can write that down in the area to write up also. I noticed I didn't hit stop. It's fine if you hit stop since all 3 people in the group are done. At this point too, since I've got the data on my iPad, everyone in the group should have the data on their iPad. At this point now, you can, if you're done with everything, you can clear out your data just so that it's not there for the next person. You can go file new and then discard that stuff since we've got it on our iPad. We don't need it on the device anymore. And at this point, it should be safe to do the system shutdown. Okay. On your write-up, again, screenshot would go here. You can transfer the data here as well, and then just answer, question, who had the hottest hand, who had the coldest hand. So hopefully you were successful with this lab. When you're done, submit it to the Dropbox in Schoology, and put all the glassware and beakers and everything back where you got it from. So thank you.
Thank you.
Woo.